Real stories of rising through hardships, raw truths around life and parenting. What does the universe have in store for us? Self-care to your core. We shine best in our authenticity. Welcome to Rise and Shine with the Mama Jac. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Rise and Shine with the Mama Jac. Today, we have a very special guest. Her name is Claire. Claire, hi, how are you?
Doing so good, Jackie. Thanks for having me on the show today. I'm excited to chat more with you.
Yeah,
I so enjoyed our first convo that we had. I feel like we could have elongated that for hours because we just went deep right away.
right? We could have made
Yep.
that a podcast.
Yes, we totally could have. Yes.
Well, one day
I'm
we
here for it.
will. One day we
Yep.
will. Hopefully, today will shadow some of that as well. So, why
Mhm.
don't you let everybody know who you are and what you're all about?
Sure thing. So, my name is Claire Schleicher. I'm a mom to two kiddos, 7 and 10, and we live in Minnesota. I am a spiritual mama. I guess that can mean a lot of things to different people. For me, that really means a lot of working with my intuition, working with my angels and my spirit team. And I also work as a mindset coach. So I like to help other women tap into their intuition to really just learn to come back home to themselves. So that's
That's
me in a nutshell.
that's amazing. Okay, so
Yeah.
what are we sharing today? What are we sharing today? Let us know.
So I think there's a lot of value in talking about the transition that we as women become moving from even the moment when we first find out we're pregnant, right? Because for me, like when I saw that plus sign, that's when things flipped a switch in my brain. And I'm like, this is no longer about just me, right? And one thing that I really struggled with since I was about 10, which is crazy because that's how old my girl is now, but is self image and body confidence and self esteem. So, struggled with that for decades. And I'm on a healing journey from that. But that's the thing with healing journeys. It's like, it's not like it's okay, I'm healed and then let's move on. When I found out I was having a girl, I really knew I needed to get my stuff together because I didn't want to raise her with some of the same generational patterns that I had been exposed to. Really, just phrases like, I don't know if you ever heard this one, but it hurts to be beautiful. Did you ever
Yeah,
hear that growing up? That is messed up. That is not a phrase that I want to carry down to my
yeah.
kids. It does not hurt to be beautiful. Yes, when you're brushing your hair and there's tangles, okay, that is painful. Yes. But it should not hurt to be beautiful. So it took me having to become a mother to really understand my own worth because there's self esteem, confidence, and then there's self worth. And now I strongly believe that every single person in the world is inherently worthy as they are.
Mhm.
You don't need to prove yourself through your value through achievements or accomplishments. You are worthy just as you are. So I really, once I became a mom the first time, is when I really had a big spiritual awakening in that I just didn't view the world as I did anymore. And then I was also like, well, how am I going to teach this child what to believe in, what to hold on to for faith when I don't even know what I believe in? So we really did a lot of spiritual exploration and spirituality now, fast forward to the present day, it's a big part of our family, like with me and my kids. When they see me, like this morning, it's as a mom, it's hard to get time to yourself. I don't know about you, but that's even
Yeah,
if the door is shut, they just want to be by mom,
yeah.
right? And I love that. And it's hard to find opportunities to have that quiet space to tap into your intuition and into your spirituality. So I just like welcome that I'm in this season where my meditations or my quiet time is not going to be probably undistracted. So anyway, this morning I'm picking up a tarot card, doing a tarot card pull, and my son, he knows he's always welcome to join me. So he just sits next to me, waits for me to open my eyes and like come back. And then he wants to choose a card. And then it's like a higher level discussion about what the cards mean for him. But I think there's so much value in just exposing them to different ways that we can connect with ourselves.
Mhm.
And when I talk to him and my daughter about it, but just today's example, really talking about like coming back to yourself, because for any of the listeners who have been on a journey of like self abandonment, like people pleasing, perfectionism, things that are separating yourself from your spirit, from your soul, now are in the process of like unlearning things and deconditioning themselves from all of this really trauma that has incurred from society and our culture, friendships, whatever it is. And it's really like coming back to yourself. So if I can raise these kids to be open minded and non-judgmental, those are the two big things I try to drive into them. If I can keep their minds and their hearts and spirits open, then they don't have to do this deconditioning. When they're older, they can just remain their authentic selves as they are, which is like the highest vibe there ever was just to
Mhm.
be who you are, right?
Yes, of course. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm all about the authenticity and just helping people to shine whatever that is, whatever their gifts are. It may not be something that, I'm interested in. Of course it's not going to be. We're all human, we're all so unique. But helping them to see, oh, that lights you up. Tap more into that, because that's your inner knowing telling you you have a gift here, you've got to express it. Like this is what the world was meant to see and to feel and to hear. So always just encouraging people to follow that light wherever it takes them, even when it doesn't make sense, because it can't be rational all the time, but when it's done from a source of love and from a source of like the good, then I do believe that you're not going to be led wrong. You're going to be going to a path to your highest self.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
totally agree. So I wanted to dive a little bit more into, you said that you had to kind of recondition yourself once you found out you had a girl. Are you interested in explaining like kind of what
Yeah.
that was and how you did it?
Yeah. So I am a high achieving woman. So I really struggled with feeling content whenever I would, well, just throughout life. Like, and I would just be quick to move on to my next goal and my next mission. And I think it's great to have goals. I think it's valuable to be goal driven to a certain point, but then it comes to a point where it's too big of a part of you that it's like controlling your purpose. So I'm a high achieving woman, and then just a lot of patterns of disordered eating and low self esteem, just chronic dieting, decades in the diet culture, a lot of generational negative cycles regarding appearance and thin privilege, all of that. And I healed the majority of my disordered eating when I found out I was pregnant. Um, I really have to learn how to find new language to use around food because I knew I didn't want her to think like, oh, this is good food, this is bad food, and to like place value on different food. I really wanted to raise an intuitive eater. And for that, that's really me talking more about food as nourishment and talking about how we tap into our bodies and our energy levels and our hunger before we just start eating. Like, what are we hungry for? Something crunchy, something warm, something light, you know? So, really helping her and my son to listen to our bodies intuitively, to know what they're telling us because our bodies are always telling us something that we need, right? And
Mhm.
I did not have that skill. Oh my gosh, I was so chronically, I mean, I had my day planned out to the gram of what I was going to eat. So this was a skill that I was learning with them. And then to use languages like candy or like, you know, what people call like junk food. Like I don't want that to be like, well, you can eat your broccoli and then you get a treat, you know? Telling them like there's foods that nourish our bodies, like the broccoli, you know? And then there's foods that nourish our souls, like, oh, that's really savory and I want to experience that, you know? So having those conversations about like, what is this nourishing? Because it's nourishing us in some way or another, and it's not bad, you know, like taking that label off of junk food as being bad because then you risk the pattern that I was in of restriction and then binge and then restriction and then binge for, you know, so long. So just having those discussions about, and then our bodies, like our bodies are strong and I move my body in exercise. I love weightlifting. So my kid, I work out at home. So my kids are with me a lot in the gym too, because, you know, they're like my little ducklings. And so I just talk about like, oh, I feel so strong. Like I feel so powerful when I'm working out or after I work out. It is never a discussion about, ooh, I had that birthday cake yesterday, so I need to burn that off. We
Yeah.
don't have those conversations. And those were the conversations that I heard a lot growing up. So it's just really changing the language around how we talk about food in our bodies.
Yeah. I love that. I love that so much. I have one kid that'll eat out of the garbage. They don't care what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I have another kid that will eat nothing.
Yeah.
So it's
That's so
really
wild.
hard, and we started saying
Yeah.
like, "Oh, well, you have your snack belly and you have your breakfast, lunch, and dinner belly." So when it's getting close to breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we wanna make sure that snack belly isn't too full because you need room for your dinner belly. So, like, we're trying, but, like, oh my goodness, are we having issues with, like, my son trying anything new or anything, and when he was a baby, he too would eat everything. My daughter is turning 3 and she'll eat anything. Anything you give her.
Yeah.
Like, and
Yeah.
she to the point that one time I left seashells out and she ate a
Yeah.
seashell. And I was like, we had to go to the hospital because we were like, "Well, a seashell, she chewed it up. When it's sharp,
Oh
like,
my gosh,
we're not
right.
X-ray, little pieces of seashell in her tummy." I'm like, and they're like,
Oh,
"They're
baby
small enough
girl.
that they should be fine. You'll see them
Yeah,
later. We'll just say
yeah. Oh my
that."
gosh, how terrifying though.
She never was the type to pick up stuff and put it in her mouth, so I left the
Yeah,
seashells out, like, "She won't touch these," but I don't know if she thought they were chips or something. I can't believe she
yeah.
chewed them up, and I could just
Ate
imagine
the seashell,
seashell.
ate the seashell.
Right.
Wow.
Oh my
That's a new one. I have not heard that one. So that is she's an adventurous eater. There you
Oh,
go.
yes.
That's what we
Oh,
can
yes.
call it. And
Yep.
so many blessings with that that she is open-minded to textures, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
she doesn't care. My son, definitely some sensory stuff happening with him with that and beyond that, but
Yeah.
we're figuring it out. I feel like as he gets
Yeah.
older and we're able to communicate more authentically with him because he's still 5, so he's still in that
Yeah.
age of, like, is what he's saying what is going on or is it not,
Right.
And I
Right.
try to teach him, but I'm the same way with you with my kids even at a young age. Like, they wanna pull an oracle card after I pull an oracle card, I'm like, "Go ahead." And
Yeah.
then I'll, like,
Love
cater
it.
it to their age, right? Like,
Yes.
it
Yes.
says one thing and I'm like, "This means, you just be happy with who you are, and if people don't wanna be your friends, they don't have to be your friends because your group of
Mhm.
friends is gonna find you no matter what. You are perfect the way you
Yes.
are, and I will just
Preach.
tailor it to whatever, I honestly what the card says, but in little human language, right? So,
Yep.
and they love it. Oh
Yep.
my God. My son comes in, he's like, "Can I meditate?" And he'll go up to my like
Oh.
crystals and he's like, "I want this one, I want that one, I want that one." And he'll sit there and he'll go,
Oh.
like one time we
Oh.
meditated to the sound of cat purring.
Oh, love that. I love that.
It's
Doing
super
it on their
cute.
level, right?
Mhm.
Like what intrigues them and how you can pull him in because man, that is rich because just slowing down with yourself, that's such a gift.
And he had um tantrums, like bad tantrums, like not 20-minute tantrums, like hour and
Yeah.
a half tantrums. And
Yeah.
that's one thing that my psychologist taught me was have him, smell the roses and then blow out the
Mhm.
candle. You smell
Yep.
your rose and then blow out your candle. And we started him with that, and then he just got interested because he saw mommy doing it and now daddy does it. And Harlow, she's still too young, my daughter,
Yeah.
she's just like, "Ah," the crazy woman, but she's, special in her own light because dang, a lot of special stuff happened with both of my kids. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's how you felt. And with what you're saying, I honestly feel like I was trying to break open after my son, right? I was trying to get to those spiritual places, but like my soul was, but my
Mhm.
brain wasn't ready. And I
Yeah.
didn't have, and I think maybe that like was my postpartum depression. It was like a
Yeah.
super dark night of the soul, like years
Yeah.
worth of a dark night of a soul. And maybe that's why on the other side, I'm moving quick, and I say that because everybody's at their own pace, it's
Right.
BS saying, "Oh,
Right.
I'm moving quick," or this or that. First of all, everybody's equal, but other than that, like, I was just able to pick up things and get into my intuition more, but that came from years of actually Buddhism. I would watch a
Mhm.
monk every morning, and
Mhm.
I learned how to meditate and understand my body and feel my body for what it needs. If I had a pain, I would be like, "Okay,
Mhm.
what does this pain feel like? Where exactly is it coming from?" And I didn't realize from doing that, I was just getting in touch with all of those things, right? All of those things. Now that I know more about the chakra system, I'm like,
Mhm.
dang, at those periods in my life when I remember like having tummy issues or anything like that. And I'm like, that had a lot to do with like, my solar plexus and stuff. Like in my
Yeah.
life, I didn't have that power in me. I was just kind of like going with the flow of everybody else's crap and trying to find my
Right.
own way when I could. But it wasn't really finding my own way.
I think, okay, what you just said there, the last couple sentences, so many of mothers, especially, we are like living on autopilot because it does, for me, newborn stage was survival mode.
Oh, yeah.
I could love my kids to death, but I could absolutely take a fast forward button and skip over it. It was so like deep and dark for me. And it's not the time that you're going to be thinking about how you can do self-development, or self-actualization. It's like you're just trying to survive.
Yeah.
And then when you've got the exhaustion, the lack of sleep, all the hormonal changes that happen in your body, all the physical things that happen in your body, and then whatever pressures you're getting about getting things done around the house or working, it's like, it is so intense. It is so intense. And I think so many mothers get programmed to be living on autopilot. And then they look back and their kids are 5 years old, 10 years old, 13 years old, older, older, older. And they're like, I'm still doing the same things. And I'm so out of touch with myself, with
Mhm.
my body, with what I need, because there's just so much that's required to raise tiny humans. And a lot of it is silent and invisible, that invisible mental load that we carry about, you know, making sure their lives run as smooth as possible. Well, I say that, but like not removing barriers. Like I'm not,
Yeah.
I want them to experience difficult times as they should because they need to learn resiliency.
Yeah.
But, trying to give them whatever we needed in childhood and for our inner child and helping them through that way. But man, yeah, those newborn, that whole first year, both kids for me, so difficult. So
Yeah.
difficult. I was never diagnosed with postpartum. I definitely had anxiety, always had anxiety. So I've been medicated on that for decades. Praise for Zoloft. But yeah, it's so transformative and it's beautiful because you're becoming a new person with your child.
Yeah.
And you've never met her. No one has. So it's like you're meeting this new version of yourself for the first time. And it's hard. It's hard. I found it difficult too to remain authentic because at those periods of time, because I was influenced so much just by parenting books and parent mom groups and like what are all the other moms, well your kids struggling with this, do this and da da da, and it's like I don't know, we're just being shoved so
Yeah.
much information, and really like I was not taking a step back and being like, well, let's tap into my own mother's intuition here, what do I think,
Mhm.
yeah, those were hard times for sure.
I always say that you are reborn with each child that you have because you
Mm,
completely change as a person. Like, literally, you could have 5 kids and each one is going
yeah,
to be a different situation, each one is a different individual human, and
yeah,
your life changes. You change,
yeah,
as a
yeah.
person, how you have to show up. I mean, I a laundry list of things, right? And
Totally.
I feel like I also had depression and anxiety before I had children, and then you know, I didn't have a care in the world. I had a job, I was making
Right.
money, I was working
Right.
out, I was able to go to yoga and work out like 7 days a week and do whatever the heck I
Yeah.
wanted. So, I went off of my antidepressant, which was Zoloft, by the way, and I was
Yeah.
doing fine. So, I learned all these techniques and I'm doing fine before children. Then after I had my son, I was like, "Oh, I can get back there." And then
Yeah.
I finally gave in to just getting anxiety medication because I was getting, like, panic attacks, right? And I was like,
Yeah.
"I don't wanna be put on Zoloft again, but I do need something to help." And then I
Mhm.
don't think I took maybe I would get they gave me Xanax, but I would break it in half, and I
Mm.
took, like, maybe 1 pill, and I was pregnant with
Mhm.
my 2nd. So, then I was like, "Okay, well, don't wanna be on
Here we
Zoloft
go
'cause
again.
I had my
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not saying anything bad about Zoloft, my mom's been on it for, like, 40 years, my
Yeah.
brother's on it, so, like, it's fine, it works. So,
Yeah.
I, put it off and put it off and put it off, and we moved, and we all this crap happened, and oh my god, my brain just broke, and yeah, you're right, it's because 'cause you're in survival mode, and then you
Yeah.
add moving on top of that, and my mom had cancer on top of that, and me not truly getting what I needed out of just my pregnancy, I guess, my husband
Yeah.
was constantly traveling with both pregnancies, so I looked at pregnancy as, "Oh, my friends are gonna come over and we're gonna watch movies and they'll bring me ice cream and, it'll be
Yeah.
fun." No,
Yeah.
none of that
No.
happened. Everybody
Yeah.
disappeared. And then afterwards, my husband's gone too, so I'm all by myself. And then I was living with my parents when I had my second because that's when my mom had cancer. So we were moving from California to Georgia and we stopped in
Oh,
Pennsylvania.
that's a big move. That's
Yeah,
a big move. Not just, like, down the street or
yeah.
one city over, like, across the country, multiple
Yeah.
time zones.
We moved with
Yeah.
both of our kids. So with my first, there was mold in our apartment. So we had to
Oh,
move out of that apartment when I was like 8.5 months pregnant. I had him like 2 weeks after we moved. And then
wow.
my second, I had her in Pittsburgh. And then she was a month old when we moved down here. So it
Wow.
was it was intense. But yeah, it
Yeah.
took me even a year after that and I tried the meditation. I knew everything, right? I had done it before,
Right.
journaling, meditation, trying to read books. My brain was going crazy. I could not concentrate on any book. I could barely
Yeah.
concentrate. I will say, and I say this over and over again, what got me through both of my like overnights with my kids when they were little and I would have to wake up. They didn't want to latch. I was a pumping mom, right? So I would have to like feed them a bottle, then pump, then put them to sleep, rinse and repeat every 2 to 3 hours,
Yep.
So
Yep.
RuPaul's Drag Race, I wouldn't watch it, and I saved every
Yeah.
episode, and that got me through it because I would turn it on every time I woke up, and they would entertain me, and
Yep.
it's a happy show, right? And that's
Yes.
just what got me
Yes.
through it. Otherwise, I don't know what I would
Yes.
have done. I feel like I need to write a letter
Yes.
to RuPaul being like, "You don't know how much you helped me. Like, I was
They don't
struggling so
even
much."
know.
Yes,
Right, right.
but
But props to you for
yeah,
finding something that, like, lifted you up, because I think too, it would be easy to be like, "Oh, I'm gonna get in on this true crime series." Nothing wrong with true crime. I'm personally not a fan because I'm so sensitive
mhm,
to like any energies, and I don't want darkness like that. But like to find something that's gonna be uplifting, because when your world is so small as a mom with newborns, middle of the night, rinse and repeat, like you said, it's like, man, you have to create any opportunity for joy that you can,
yeah,
because people aren't coming over with ice cream, like we see in the
yeah,
movies,
yeah.
yeah.
Or like
Yeah.
helping you, like, "Oh, it's the middle of the night. Your sister-in-law came to spend the night just to help. Oh, no, you just pump and go to bed. I'll do everything else." Like, no, that
Literally,
doesn't
what?
won't happen.
Yeah,
Maybe
no.
once in the whole and my husband was really good 'cause a lot
Yeah.
of the time he worked nights. So if he was up at night and
Yeah.
I got up to pump, he'd be like, "Babe, just pump and go back to bed. Like, I'm still up,
Yeah.
so don't worry about
Yeah.
it." But, we both ended up going, like, spiraling down, and it was really difficult, but yeah, once I got to the bottom, the bottom, like,
Yeah.
crying, waking up because I was alive type of stuff, you know what I mean? Like, it was brutal. Um, I got put back on medication. My doctor were
Mhm.
like they were like, "You wanna go to inpatient? Do you wanna check yourself into a hospital, or do you wanna find a psychiatrist?" So I found my
Yeah.
psychiatrist, and they put me
Yeah.
on medication, and that was able to stop the tornado in my brain, right?
Oh,
Like, poof.
right.
And then I was like, "Okay, I'm a person,
Yeah.
but what like, you're still lost, right? Because you've been in this
Right.
pit for so long." So and this isn't every parent, but you want to pay attention to this kind of stuff if you've had anxiety and depression before you have a child because and
Yeah.
it comes back to bite you sometimes. It still comes
Sure
back
does.
even on the
Right.
medication. Like
Right.
you
It's not
you have
perfect. Life
feelings. Yeah.
isn't.
So it's like, oh, and that's when my spiritual awakening took off. It was like, nope, you don't get to choose anymore. We're choosing for you. So here's
Yeah.
your signs, here's your guides. You're going to start hearing whispering in your ears. You're going to start seeing things in your sleep. You're going to start doing this. Here's your group of people to talk to. Like literally everything started to line up for me the way it was supposed
Yeah.
to. And
Yeah.
I gave in. And it makes so much
Yeah.
sense now, that I'm a spiritual person and I connect with guides and connect with, source, whatever. Um, because the stuff that I'm seeing now, I'm like, it took all of that for me to have the space because, my podcast came from my experience, and I don't want
Mhm.
people to feel alone, right?
Right.
So if I didn't go through that hell and all of that bad
Mhm.
stuff, people wouldn't be helping other people on my space. I wouldn't be creating the nonprofit I'm creating. I wouldn't be writing a book. I wouldn't be public speaking. You know what I mean? So it
Yeah.
takes like, I think all in all, this like really skipped over some stuff. Dang. See, this is what happens when two spiritual people start talking to each other.
Totally. We're gonna jump around, so just buckle
Yes.
up. Yep.
But it's truly like beautiful. When you're on your spiritual journey, you start to learn to see the beauty in the lessons that you have, right? Lessons,
Yeah.
not bad
Yeah.
times, not why did this
Yeah.
happen to me? Everything is happening for you at that point. And the more you accept that, the easier all those lessons get. That's what I always say. It's not a bad thing that happened. This is a lesson in some way, shape, or form. Some are really hard and some are tiny, but they're all
Yep.
lessons in your life that you have to get through. How do you personally like with your spirituality? Is that kind of like stuff that you do? How do you navigate it?
Well, yeah, so summing some of that up in my journey is I am so deeply rooted in gratitude,
Mhm.
to a point where sometimes it does make me a little delulu because I just love life so much for what it is. And that doesn't mean it's perfect and that doesn't mean it's easy, but I am so trained now to find gratitude in just the tiniest of ways, just the smallest examples. Oh, it happened to rain. That is so crazy that my umbrella is right here. Or, oh, we want to go to the grocery store. My favorite yogurt's on sale. Like little
Yeah.
tiny wins. I just I give so much gratitude to the universe for setting me up like that in ways to just make me more happy and joyful so I can keep being the light that I am. And then with that, when tough things happen, like when I spill something, oh, well, actually, when I spill things, I've trained myself to think that that's just abundance overflow. Like, oh, of course I spilled that because I have so much abundance of whatever it is, love, wealth, prosperity, like whatever. Oh, that's, of course I spilled the milk. Like, I'm just so abundant, So that's how I've trained my mind to think about spills. But like little things, like if I step on a Lego here in my office, like, that little thing, like, yeah, you can moan about it and complain, or it can be like, you know what, yeah, I am learning to breathe through it, and that is strengthening my ability to be so unbothered. That is like my goal in life, is to just like be so unbothered. I just want to be that steady stream. So yeah, all the little things. The other time in my life 2 years ago is when I helped my mom to pass away. And that experience, I mean, we were soul sisters. We were so connected spiritually. And we spent a lot of our time, like in the last 2 years of her life, really deeply connecting on a spiritual level. But even you can use death as like what we would consider like one of the ultimate difficult times in life, but how can you use that as an opportunity for growth and expansion? Because that's what challenges are. And if we can reframe them in our mind to know that this is the universe teaching us a lesson somehow and being open to receiving that and from learning, yeah, you're going to be a lot more content and happy in your life rather than being the victim of everything that's happening to you. Yeah, that's a huge game changer in how your whole reality shifts.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny when people say get to know yourself because I feel like I was just reading a book and it was like, get to know yourself, get to know yourself. And I'm like, well, I guess I know myself, but with the world and how I'm kind of in a flow energy right now. Am I this
Mhm.
Jackie today? I'm a little bit different the next
Mhm.
day. And you just kind of go with it. Like, yeah, there are certain things that line up, right? I
Yeah.
normally have colored hair. I'm normally a
Yeah.
pretty positive person. I'm normally like, you know, I mean, you could say whatever traits, like there are basic traits, but me as a person, I choose to say every day is new. And
Mhm.
the circumstances might be different today than they were yesterday. So, yeah,
Mhm.
I know myself and I know my aesthetic, but that doesn't
Mhm.
mean that tomorrow it might be the same. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but it's like,
No.
I think you get it. Like, you're always evolving. So it's like,
Yes, 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 right there. You're always evolving. And like being okay with that.
mhm,
Because if someone says to you, like, oh, Jackie, you've really changed, that's not negative.
no.
Like, well, good. I hope I've changed. I
Yeah.
don't want to be the same woman I was last month. No, I've had a whole life of experience since then. I don't want to be the same. So yes, I am with you on that so deeply. Like we are meant to evolve. And with that, I think a lot of women that I have conversations with don't really, when you say like know yourself and how it can evolve and who you show up as, is well, your values can evolve too. So it's like knowing really what is important to you so that you're making these decisions that are aligned with what feels right to you, because otherwise it's really easy to get off your path if you don't know who you are and like what's important to you, what do you stand for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. I, like, went from a point where I was like, "Oh, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know." And then all of a sudden, it's like I changed. And it wasn't the
Yeah.
way that, like, you think you would change. It wasn't like magical welcome, like, ooh, spirituality. It was more like my mind just got steady. I started
Yeah.
not caring about certain things. I started accepting a lot more. Gratitude has been off the charts, like you said. Like, literally, my
Yeah.
heart fills with gratitude every day. Like,
Yeah.
what
I
is there not
love
to be
that.
grateful for? And honestly, it's been a very different state that I've been in all of a sudden since I would say Lionsgate, right? And
Yeah.
I know a lot of people tend to like during Lionsgate, and it's this like awareness of myself, and like I have all of these goals and I'm just baby stepping towards the goals, and I check in with my spirit team like, is this, blah blah blah, and it's always a yes, like just keep
Mhm.
going, things are going to align as
Mhm.
they align, like some things are going to
Mhm.
come faster than you think. And I keep seeing all
Right.
these, you get the TikTokers that talk about all this stuff, which is super cool. A lot of them are very helpful, I feel like. And
Yeah.
it's like a lot of times when you think that way, you start acting that way and your frequency raises to that way, and then these things come a lot quicker than you think they would. So
Mhm.
it's been a really interesting time for me. Like, I've still been, because I used to be like, yeah, let's give you a reading, yeah, let's do this, yeah, let's do that. And now I'm just
Yeah.
like, if people ask,
Yeah.
cool. If they come to me, cool. If I notice something and you're one of my best friends, I might say something to activate something, just like
Yeah.
not even a question about it, just to see if you're okay and want to share. Like, are you
Yeah.
okay? I always tell people, if I ask you, are you okay? I already know the answer. I'm an energy reader, right? So you
Yeah.
can't hide from me.
Yeah.
I'd say 99% of people can't hide from me. If you're hiding from me,
Yeah.
you must have really solid like energy blocks, because I see right through it and I don't poke in.
Yeah.
But if
Right.
I do pass a mom, going into preschool with my kids, and she says, "Hi, good morning." And I notice like that in her, I'll be like, "How are you doing?" Like, it's been a
Mhm.
while. Try to open up a little bit, see if there's anything
Yeah.
that, or sometimes that's all people need is a "how are you doing?" They don't get that. You know what I mean? People
They
just
don't
walk
get
by.
that. And Jackie, like you said, is like, so I'm picturing you like at the preschool and you see her walk by and like, yeah, she may just need to be seen. Like, I
Mhm.
see you,
Mhm.
I see you.
Yeah.
Because we have no idea what is going on, but just to know that you're being seen or heard or understood is so powerful. And it's like just pausing and yeah, checking in on each other, like
Yeah.
look up from your phone, look at the world around
Yeah.
you, look at the other parents that have kids in your neighborhood, at your school. Like, we're all doing life together here, you know, and just having more of that. I love that. Just being approaching to just check in with one another. That's a really powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. They asked me to start a mom support group at my kids' daycare, not daycare,
Mm,
preschool. So I do that as
yeah.
well. And it's interesting. I hope this year more people get involved because I feel like when it's a community like that, it's almost like people get certain people can talk and talk. I could talk. I mean, look, my stuff is international. People
Yeah.
in I think 17 different countries listen to my podcast. So it's like I'm there. You
Wow.
know about
Right.
me, right?
Right.
And it was funny last year, one of the teachers evidently heard an episode of mine. It was me and my husband talking about how we almost got a divorce, but the only reason we didn't get
Mm-hmm.
a divorce is because we were so broke we couldn't afford to get a divorce, but we were both there. Then we realized that was divine timing to be broke because we're meant to be together, because now it's like we're a young couple again, but it's like
Yeah.
we both were going through something super hard and couldn't help each other. That's why, whatever. So that episode came out. He was very open in it. And it started going around the teachers, right? They all started
Yeah.
listening to my podcast and hearing all of these super personal things. And the one
Right.
teacher was like, should I talk to her about it, to another teacher? And I was like laughing. I was like, I wouldn't put it to the world if I didn't want
Right.
people, especially if you're like, oh my God, I went through that too. Like, yes, that's why I put
Right.
this out. That's why we talk openly and I'm authentic about myself. Like, if someone asks me, how are you doing? And I'm not feeling great, I'm not going to dump all my crap on them, but I'll be like, I'm trying
Yep.
my best. I'm doing
Yep.
my best today.
Yep.
That's what we're doing. like,
Right. And also to what's so powerful in you sharing those stories, with your husband and then saying to them like, "Yeah, we can talk about it." Like there doesn't need to be shame around this.
mm,
There's no shame in struggling in your marriage, struggling in your finances, struggling in life. Every single person is struggling right now at this very second with something. They're struggling with something. So let's not pretend that everything is fine all the time because it's not, and it's not supposed to be because it's life is meant to be difficult at times, but removing that shame piece from it, because that's a biggie. So just to know that like, yeah, we're someone's struggling with that too, and just knowing like, okay, we're not alone in this. And then because then that guilt, that sneaky guilt comes in with the shame, and then you just go in that cycle. And we don't need to be here for that. Mm-mm. No.
and I
Yeah.
urge my moms in my support groups. I'm always like, okay, when we meet back here, I want to hear what you did for you. And what I don't
Yeah.
want to hear is I went to the grocery store alone,
No.
or
No.
I was able to take a shower alone. Like, I want you to
Yeah.
actively just start once a week. Let's not go too
Yeah.
strong. Some of these people haven't done anything for themselves in years
Right.
and years.
Yours.
Once a week, what can you do for yourself? A half hour.
Yeah.
What are you doing with that
Yeah.
time? How are you you
Right.
know, putting love back into yourself? Like,
Yeah.
there's so many different ways. It looks so different for everybody. And so let's get into your coaching. Whenever you're coaching, first of all, who's your like clientele normally? And what is one of the most important things that you try to help people with your coaching? Like, what is your golden standard? Like, this is my
Mhm.
mission. This is why I started. And okay, so let's
Mhm.
start off first with, why did you become a coach?
Oof. Okay. So I'm gonna answer that last one.
Okay.
Why did I become a coach? So I had it it's a calling. Like, it is not I didn't even know it existed. And it took 4 years of this nudging inside that was, like, whispering, like, there's something like, I am not fully expressing myself, and there's gifts that I have, and that I am meant to share those, and I am meant to help raise the vibration of the collective in a way. And it took me 4 years of meditating, journaling, working with spiritual coaches and directors. Like, what is it, like, what is this whisper trying to tell me? And it got louder and louder and louder, because I tried to, like, ignore it, because it was a strange point, because I, like, love my life and always really grateful for what I have. But then this, like, sliver that got bigger of this ambition to seek out whatever this nudge was in my soul. So I are you into human design?
I know it. I'm not
Okay.
super, like, savvy,
Okay.
but I know mine, and I have my kids done and everything
Okay.
like that, yeah.
So that's mine too. Like, I'm not an expert, so in the middle. And when I learned mine, that was helpful in an area where basically part of my design is things that come easy to me. I'm so unaware that, like, they're like blind spots where I'm like, doesn't that come easy to everyone, or whatever. So they recommended asking your best friends, like, what are you good at, what do you come to me for, and all of my last 3 really close long-term friends of mine who have just been through a ton of life experience together. I'm like, what do you come to me for? Like, what am I good at whenever we're talking or you need me for something? And they were all like, well, that's easy. If I need to change my mindset around something, you are so good at giving that perspective that's gives me, like, tangible action and how I can help myself get out of this situation or go towards that. Like, you're always so good about your mindset. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. I am. And I didn't even, at the time, I was very interested in manifestation, law of attraction. I didn't even know how they were working together, because I was just naturally doing it all along, just manifesting my heaven on earth. And then I learned what mindset coaching is. And I was like, this is literally what I was so lit up, Jackie. I was like, I can't do this. Like, this isn't a job. People don't do this, because I came from a family of, like, you go to college, you go to college, you get a career that requires a degree, So I went on to get my doctorate, 8 years of college, and I do love that part of my life. I really do. And there was a big thing missing, this thing that would, like, lit me up, and I am just so passionate about it, and it just feels like unbelievable to me that I would get to do that and help other women. So that's how I got into coaching. And the women that I work with are really all sorts of women, single women. They tend to be women who are spiritually curious, open minded to learning about new ways of thinking. And I attract a lot of, like, high achieving, ambitious women and professionals who are, like, unfulfilled in life, because they're like, I get that quick dopamine hit from doing all the things, and am kind of addicted to doing everything on my to-do list, but I'm not fulfilled, and lacking that being present with your family when you're with them, because you're so in your mind.
Yeah.
So really giving them that freedom of, like, no, but when you're with them, we can you can learn how to be present with them and content, and not feel like you need to reach and grab your phone to do one more email, or just another thing. So it's at finding fulfillment for ambitious women outside of their achievements. And then the other type of woman is really helping her to raise confident daughters. And I say daughters just because that's from my own personal story with my
Yeah.
own daughter. I'm a highly inclusive person. So they, thems, he, she's, whatever, but helping to raise confident daughters or kids in themselves and to help being that mentor for them and that role model in living your authenticity. And so what is your authenticity? Like what does that mean to you? So I do that with like the values exploration work. I do a lot of subconscious work because 95% of our decisions come from our subconscious mind. So we can't keep beating ourselves up and saying that we're not working hard enough or we're not willing to do something. If our subconscious mind is going to keep repeating this pattern for us, you're only working with 5% of your mind. You're not going to make the progress or make the traction. So I do a lot of that subconscious mind. And it's so powerful and transformative that I just love it. I just love it. Yeah, it's awesome work.
Yeah, I could imagine. I could
Yeah.
imagine. See, I learned real quick, I'm not a teacher. I'm a teacher in other
Mm.
ways.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I am not the one, like, I can talk, I can
Yeah.
tell you about your energy and help you with that, but I am
Yeah.
not the one with the patience to watch. Like, my path is not taking individuals and pushing them. My path is
Right.
putting word out and having people understand. Does that make sense? Like, it's
Yes.
a little
Yes.
different, and but it's the
Yes.
same thing, right? Raising the frequency, doing
Yes.
whatever you can to help people, right? And that same thing,
Yes.
if a friend or somebody on like that listened to my podcast had a question for me, like, how did you do it? How did you do this? 100% I could talk to them and make sure they're
Yeah.
okay. I offer
Yeah.
that all the time, like, you know, with anything I do. And I'm really good at, like I said, energy reading. So I know, like,
Yeah.
I'll say something and I'm like, "You didn't get that, so let's break it down in another
Yeah.
way." But it's not
Yeah.
like I'm gonna start a business as a coach. I've thought
Yeah.
about it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"I don't think that's me."
Well, what and it's not it and then right, like and that's what I love about the uniqueness of humanity is like that's my thing, not your thing.
Mhm.
Your thing is speaking. Your thing is getting on your podcast and writing your book and sharing the word across many, whereas I'm like, oh, just a smaller group of people, and then we're gonna go deep,
Mhm.
and the impact in both is so positive and profound in each our own ways. And that's what I love about when you're tapped into your gifts and what
Yeah.
you have to share and to serve and help the collective. Like
Mhm.
that's just so amazing because we all need each other like that.
Yes. Yes, we do.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
100% do because, oh, so many people wanna avoid diving deep. So many people, and that's the hardest time that I have with it, why I was like, "Yeah, I couldn't be a coach," because
Yeah.
that, like, because of my experience, I mean, I know how hard it is. I didn't have the tools also to understand why I needed to, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I know how hard it can be, but the other side is so
Oh,
freeing, and it's like,
so
can we get
good.
see, I'm, like, impatient with that in other people. I know it's something I need to work on. I That's why I've pulled myself out of a lot of it because I have a Discord, I have a lot of spiritual people in there, and I'm like, "You know what, guys? I love you so much, and I'm here to talk anytime, but I am not the person that is going to highlight your path. You have to do that for yourself." And I'm not
Yeah.
like I am a what's it called? Sorry if you can hear my daughter screaming. They're getting ready to go to the pool. I'm an
Mhm.
activator, right? But
Yeah. Yes.
so it's like I can't like
That's what some of
slowly
us need.
like
That's what some of us need. They need that wake up. They need that abrasive or harsh reality check too.
See, so
Yeah.
I would be sending my girls to you. I'd be like, "So I just said something and you hate me. Go to Claire because she's gonna be a lot nicer than I am whenever I talk about it." It's not that I'm
You
not
give them the
nice.
wake up.
It's
Right. But
just
you
like
wake up.
my authentic brain is just spits it out, right? It's
Yeah.
like pure energy. And I'm like, I don't want to sugarcoat it because it starts
Yeah.
losing meaning. So even
Right.
when I do my energy readings online and stuff, I'm like, if this is getting too personal and you need me to stop, tell me to stop and we can do
Yeah.
private because I I get serious shit in your brain. You're not
Yeah.
hiding an affair from me. You're not
Yeah.
hiding like a deep down depression from me. You're not
Yeah.
hiding a mother wound from me. I see it all, right? I'm going
Yeah.
to get there if I don't see it at the beginning. And
Yeah.
I've even had situations where people have like said no, no, no to certain things I've said. And then on the side, they like type to me like, it was right, but this person was sitting right next to me and I couldn't say
Yeah.
anything. And I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I always warn people, like I'm not I'm not the one to help you on your path. I
Yeah.
guess that's not true. I am, but it's
It
not in the
you
same it's not as nice as other people can do it for you.
Well, but what I really appreciate about how you deliver your message is that you don't water it down
Mhm.
because then it loses, like you said, it loses its meaning. And it's not your responsibility to have for that person to receive it in with the strength or that might be required for it. It's your job to be delivering that message with love, with
Yeah.
light, and with that directness.
Mhm.
And that's how many people do need to hear it. So, not that it's about nice or not, it's just it might be information that's, more challenging to work through
It hits you in the
for
gut
some.
because you're
Yeah.
like, "Ooh, that is true."
Yeah.
And maybe
And
you
people don't
haven't
like
realized that.
change. Yeah, people don't like change. So, and our subconscious mind really doesn't like change. It wants us to stay safe and small.
Yes.
So, when anything is going to disrupt that, it's going to give you all the evidence on why you need to revert.
Mhm.
So, you're a waker, you're awakening people. And I love that. I love that work
Yeah,
that you
and I
do.
think that's part of
Yeah.
the reason I changed is because I had to, because I have to be
Yeah.
that, like, "Oh, you're not for everybody" kind of person, which is fine,
Yeah.
because I think my
Yes.
message, like, personally, if you get this is personal readings, right? This isn't what I'm doing with my
Yeah.
nonprofit or anything like that. It's my, like, actual gift that I have is, like, very direct. My guides don't
Yeah.
sugarcoat anything,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so that's something to be aware of, but as far as, like, putting out this content, I want to highlight everybody in the best, and I will never come
Yeah.
back and, like, smack someone with some reality on here because I want you to feel your best. I want you to get your message out, but yeah, it's
Right.
just funny in the different ways people work and God, what you're doing is so beautiful. I love it so much. We're going to
Thank
tag
you.
all of your links. Make sure we have that. If you have anything else you can think of that you want to say, we're going to do a live, right? We decided that.
Yes. Heck yes,
Okay.
we are. Yep, that's
I
on the
might
books.
I might actually so is there anything else you wanted to share? Anything else like wise wisdom to the moms or women or,
Ooh.
your motto for life? What's going on in
Ooh.
there?
Yeah, okay. I guess I would say that it doesn't matter if you're 50 pounds overweight, if you have $0 in the bank, if you just lost your job, if you just got dumped, if you're just feeling like who am I? What value do I add? Know that you just being here on earth today listening to this shows that how you are, just as you are so inherently worthy. You're worthy of happiness and you're worthy of love. You don't need to prove that to anyone, but you do got to get right with loving yourself because you're so worthy of that. And that is the most powerful energy there is. So if you're not already there, I would encourage you to just start there, start in the mirror and start loving on that woman because she sure has a lot to offer you.
I love
Yeah.
that. And in the words of Louise Hay, she has an affirmation that you say in the mirror: I love and accept you exactly as you are. You stare
Oh,
at yourself
love
right
it.
in the face. I love and accept
Yeah.
you exactly as you are. And there we go. Well, thank you so
Goosebumps,
much.
girl.
This was so
Jackie,
much
thank
fun.
you.
I have you on as a
Thank
co-host
you.
sometime so we can just like
Girl,
get it.
I legit have goosebumps, like legitimately I have goosebumps. And I'm going to be riding high on this energy for the rest of the day. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Yay! Thank you
You're such
so
an awesome
much.
human. You
Dude, right back
are.
at ya. Right
I'm
back
so
at
glad I'm so thankful we met.
I know, me
Yeah.
too. Me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Rise and Shine with the Mama Jac, where we deep dive into the real, raw, truthful world of parenthood, mental health, wellness, and spirituality. Remember, my loves, it's okay to take a moment for yourself, to breathe, to laugh, and embrace the beautiful messiness of life. Let's keep rising out of our shadows, shining our light, nurturing our souls, and spread love like confetti. Until next time, stay shamelessly authentic. Love, the Mama Jac. For more info and socials, go to shamelesslyauthenticproductions.com.